The morning rush at Maple Street Café was in full swing when Sarah walked through the door. She was a striking woman in her early 30s with golden blonde hair that fell in soft waves past her shoulders. Her red blazer gave her a polished, confident look, but inside her chest beat a heart that carried both strength and loneliness. Sarah had been deaf since birth. Over the years, she had learned to navigate a world that wasn't always built for her. Most days, she managed just fine. But some days like today, the simple act of ordering coffee felt like climbing a mountain. She approached the counter and pulled out her phone. Her fingers moved quickly, typing out her order. 1 medium latte with oat milk, please. The young barista behind the counter barely glanced at the screen. He nodded quickly and turned away, already moving on to the next task. Sarah waited and waited. When her name was finally called, she picked up her cup and took a sip. Regular milk. Her stomach would pay for this later. She felt the familiar sting of frustration mixed with resignation. It wasn't anger, really. Just a deep, tired sadness that came from being misunderstood so many times. She turned to leave when she noticed a little girl watching her. The child couldn't have been more than 7 or 8. She had light brown hair pulled back neatly and wore a pink backpack that seemed almost as big as she was. Her eyes were curious, but not unkind. Next to her stood a man in his late 30s. He wore a denim shirt and a brown apron that marked him as one of the cafe workers. His dark hair was styled neatly, and his face carried the gentle weariness of a single parent who had learned to carry the world on his shoulders. The little girl tugged on his sleeve. "Dad, that lady seemed sad." The man, whose name was Thomas, looked up. He had noticed Sarah, too. Something about the way she held herself told him a story. He had been a barista at this cafe for 3 years. Before that, he had worked as a teacher. Life had taken unexpected turns when his wife passed away 4 years ago, leaving him to raise their daughter Emma alone. He had learned in those hard years to notice the quiet struggles of others. Thomas watched as Sarah stood near the counter, holding her cup with a look of quiet disappointment. Then he saw her hands move. Just a brief gesture of frustration. But he recognized it. Sign language. His younger sister was deaf. Growing up, he had learned to sign as naturally as he learned to speak. It had been years since he used it regularly, but the language was still there, tucked away in his memory like an old song. He looked down at Emma. "Stay here, sweetheart." Thomas walked over to Sarah. His heart beat a little faster. He didn't want to intrude, but he also couldn't ignore what he had seen. "Excuse me." Sarah turned. Her expression was guarded. Thomas raised his hands and began to sign. "I noticed they got your order wrong. I'm sorry about that." Sarah's eyes went wide. Her mouth opened slightly in surprise. For a moment she just stared. Then slowly a smile began to spread across her face. It was like watching the sun break through clouds. "You sign." "Yes," Thomas signed back. "My sister is deaf. I should have been paying more attention at the counter. Let me make you a new drink. The right one this time." Sarah felt something warm bloom in her chest. It wasn't just about the coffee. It was about being seen, being understood. She nodded and signed back. "Thank you. That would be wonderful." Thomas went behind the counter and began preparing her latte himself. Emma watched from her seat, her eyes moving between her father and the pretty lady in red. When Thomas returned with a fresh cup, Sarah took a sip. Perfect. She signed with genuine joy. They stood there for a moment, 2 strangers connected by an unexpected bridge. Thomas signed again. "I hope your day gets better from here." Sarah smiled and signed back. "It already has." Then she did something she rarely did. She spoke aloud. Her voice was soft and slightly uncertain in the way of someone who couldn't hear themselves. "Thank you." Thomas felt his throat tighten. He nodded. "You're very welcome." As Sarah turned to leave, Emma jumped up from her seat. She waved enthusiastically. "Bye, pretty lady." Sarah waved back her smile, now reaching her eyes. When she stepped out into the cool morning air, she felt lighter. The world hadn't changed. She would still face challenges tomorrow and the day after. But today someone had taken the time to understand, to meet her where she was. That simple act of kindness reminded her that she wasn't invisible. Back inside the cafe, Emma looked up at her father. "Dad, why did you use your hands to talk?" Thomas knelt down to her level. Because everyone deserves to be heard, sweetheart, even when they can't speak the same way we do. Emma nodded thoughtfully. I think that lady was really happy. She was, Thomas said. Sometimes the smallest act of kindness make the biggest difference. He thought about his own journey. The nights he had cried after Emma went to sleep. The mornings he didn't think he could face another day. And he remembered the strangers who had shown him kindness. The neighbor who brought meals. The teacher who stayed late when he was running behind. The friend who just listened. Those moments had saved him. And now he had the chance to be that person for someone else. Sarah returned to the café the next day, and the day after that. Each time Thomas greeted her with a smile and a signed hello, they began to talk. Short conversations at first, about coffee and weather and the little things that fill our days, but gradually deeper, about loss and resilience, about loneliness and hope, about finding connection in unexpected places. Emma learned some signs too. She loved making Sarah smile. One afternoon, several weeks later, Sarah brought something with her, a small wrapped package. She handed it to Thomas. He opened it to find a book of sign language for children. For Emma, Sarah signed, so she can keep learning. Thomas felt tears prick his eyes. Thank you. This means more than you know. Sarah signed back. You gave me something too. You reminded me that I'm not alone. That cold morning in the cafe had changed something for both of them. Not everything, not all at once, but enough. Enough to remember that kindness matters. That taking a moment to truly see another person can change their entire day. That we all carry invisible struggles. And sometimes the greatest gift we can offer is simply understanding. Thomas and Sarah became friends. Not in a fairy tale romance way, but in something quieter and perhaps more valuable. A genuine human connection built on mutual respect and shared understanding. Emma grew to love Sarah like an aunt, and Sarah found in them a small family she hadn't known she needed. The cafe on Maple Street continued its busy rhythm, but now there was a corner of kindness there, a reminder that in a rushing world we can still choose to slow down, to notice, to care, and that choice ripples outward in ways we might never fully know. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment below about a time someone showed you unexpected kindness. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today.